I know that it's a running gag for me to be late for Q&As, but this is a bit silly. Anyway, YouTube notified me that today is my 10-year YouTube anniversary, so I'm going to pretend that it was definitely intentional for me to wait. But let's go ahead and get started. There were a lot of comments asking me how my health was, so I'm going to go ahead and just summarize that generally. So shortly after I got the transplant, the disease or condition that caused it recurred, which is pretty common because it's not really a virus or a disease in that sense. It's more of like, it's more something wrong with my blood or my immune system, if that makes sense. Like, my immune system attacks my kidneys. But I'm doing a very extensive treatment for that, and it seems to be working. I don't want to jinx anything, but they are slowly tapering me off of it. I'm hoping that I will be back to normal soon. Overall, I'm feeling pretty good. I got a healthy appetite, gaining weight, working out, so that's good. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the questions. First up is, how much money have you given to the snail? I'd have to guess it's close to around $4,000, maybe $6,000. I know that's a lot of money, but a lot of that is just general business expenses. I wasn't always in the content creator program, and even these days I still buy some for myself, just because they have an email system and sometimes I don't want to wait to get the email back. So I just buy whatever I want for myself and write it off as a business expense. It's still an absolutely ludicrous amount of money, but I'm sure other people have spent lots more. Which pair of headphones do you use? I'm always surprised by how well you can audibly locate tanks. I use, let me see. It's some kind of Bayer Dynamic DT 1770 Pros. I think they're the Mark IIs. But I wouldn't say they're great for gaming generally. These are monitoring headphones, so, you know, for music production and stuff like that. I got them mainly because they're good headphones that are closed back. A lot of the headphones they make nowadays are open back, and I had some before, but you could hear the game audio in the microphone, so I had to switch to closed back. They're good. I wouldn't say they're ideal for gaming, but they're good. Very expensive. What's your favorite Get Gaijin moment? I'd have to go with Shell Shattered with APDS because it just reinforces my opinion that APDS is dog water, at least early APDS, and it bolsters my argument for bringing more AP than APDS on guns like the 84mm, or I guess the 24-pounder, technically. I would say my least favorite is probably Artie or Cass, obviously. Non-pen because of volumetric is just... it's just part of the game at this point. All you can do is just roll your eyes and keep moving, you know? What's your most favorite BR range in the American tech tree or in the game in general? I'm gonna say for the American tech tree, it's probably 6.7 or 7.0. You get so many good tanks in that BR range. Why, for a brief moment, your profile picture had eyelashes? Well, I asked Fuzz, the person I commissioned for art on this channel, if he could redo the channel profile picture, and he did. And I love how it looked. It looks great. But in terms of YouTube, I don't think it's as good as the old one for readability, you know? When you add more detail and then make it smaller, like on a small comment profile picture or whatnot, it can often look muddled, and I think that was the case with the new profile picture, so I switched back. Do you like anime? Not really. Honestly, the only anime that I've watched and liked are like 80s, 90s anime, like Patlabor. The second Patlabor movie is absolutely amazing. I've actually referenced it at least once or twice in videos before. I also watched that one, what is it? It's like a compendium of little, like, short anime movies. There's that one with the space station, and there's Roses Are a Theme in it. I don't remember the name of it, but it was really good. I like that one. What's your favorite music artist? My favorite artist is Anthony Green. He has a lot of good solo stuff, but I like his band pieces more. Like, Circa Survive is probably my favorite band of all time, but they are on indefinite hiatus, so right now I'm listening to a lot of LS Dunes, his new project, and they just released a new album that's really good. I would recommend checking it out. What's your ideal version of a Battle Pass or similar performing system? Frankly, I'm not a huge fan of Battle Passes. I don't really get the appeal of them. Like, you're essentially just playing the game to unlock new items, which is something that has always existed, really. Except you have to pay to reap the full benefits of it. At least in War Thunder. So this might be a really boomer take of me, but I'd prefer just going back to a regular system where you play things, you unlock things, you don't need to pay for it, just Have fun playing the game, you know, don't worry about it. Have you traveled to Europe? I have not, but I would really like to. The main places that I'd like to visit are just France in general, not entirely sure where exactly, probably not Paris, Rome, and then probably the Czech Republic. Yes, I have been playing KCD2 a lot recently. But yeah, the only place that I've traveled to so far has been Australia, and that was really cool. It's a really neat country to experience, but it also reminded me a lot of Florida, and I can't tell if that's really a good thing or a bad thing. Happy Easter, Spork. Do you have a preferred way of us addressing you? You've mentioned disliking Spooky in the past, so should we use Spookston, Spooks, Mr. Stun, Spork? Really, you can use any reasonable variation of my name that isn't Spooky, I think. Spooky just sounds like a pet name, and I really don't like that. I really don't like hearing that from strangers. I will use this opportunity to address something that I've noticed going on, is people fighting about calling me Spook, short for Spookston. I don't really have an issue with it, because when I was making this name, I was referring to, you know, like, the scary word, not the derogatory word. And I feel like the derogatory word is so unused that we should, like, reclaim it, if that makes sense, but I'm not really in the position to make that call, so... yeah, Spooks works, Mr. Stun works, Spookston works. You can even call me by my real name, Alex, I don't mind. I don't mind people knowing that. Like, people freak out every time I mention it. I feel like it's it's a revelation every time it's said in the video. Like, I do a collab, someone says my real name. People go, oh, Spookston lore drop. 2 weeks later, it happens again. Oh, Spookston lore drop. You get it? How much money do you make from your content creator code for Gaijin? Have you gotten into legal trouble? Are there going to be more informational videos? You know, the first one's kinda difficult to answer because I don't think I can give an exact number. But let's just say that compared to what I make from YouTube, it is marginal. Like, what I make in half a week on YouTube is what I make in a month from the content creator code. And that is not the case for people that I've talked to. Like, a lot of the creators I talk to make way more from their content creator code than I do, which I don't really understand. Maybe it's like a furry stigma thing, I don't know. I do give 50% of the revenue to Fuzz, so it's even less than that. But it's a nice bonus, you know? It's passive income, so I can't really complain. And for have I ever gotten into legal trouble, I don't really think so. There was this issue, I think it was technically 2 years ago, my taxes. The person I paid to prepare my tax form put down my company name as YouTube. Because I said, I just do YouTube. And, the IRS was not a fan of that. They're like, hey, we are pretty sure you don't own the multi-billion-dollar company YouTube. And I was like, yeah, that's correct. Scratch that off, please. Strike that out. And for informational videos, yeah, there will be. I have one in the works right now. But I think I answered this in the last Q&A too. I want the informational videos to be really good and well researched, if that makes sense. Like, before, I was kind of just quickly reading books and then firing from the hip, making those like 5-minute videos. And frankly, they weren't very good, in my opinion. I look back and I'm not a fan of them. I do like the Abrams video that I made in 2023 for Christmas. That I'm a big fan of, because I did a lot of my own research. I found primary source documents, had like, I think 25 sources total. A lot of them things people hadn't really researched before, as far as I'm aware. And with the older videos, it was pretty much just surmising the history of a vehicle's development. Whereas with the Abrams video, I had like a thesis, you know? I set out to debunk a claim, and I think I did a pretty good job of it. So yeah, there will be more videos like that, but they won't be nearly as frequent. What brand is your washer and or dryer? And what kind of odd or weird pet have you had? For my washer and dryer, they are from the GE Profile brand. I think they're pretty alright. I did a lot of research into appliances in general before I bought them. And they're not going to last like 10, 20 years or anything like that, but they're not too expensive. They work well. They don't require Wi-Fi connectivity, which is good. I hate that so many appliances are like, connect your Wi-Fi, connect your Bluetooth. No, I don't need to connect a thermometer to Bluetooth. And for weird or odd pets that I've had, well, I don't know if a hermit crab counts. I've had a hermit crab before. I've had fire-bellied toads. Most recently, I've had pet mice. I don't know if they're, like, super exotic, technically. I know they're something that most people probably don't own. But the funny thing about the pet mice is that I had 2 female mice, right? One died, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna get 2 more so that the older one still has company because they're really social animals. So I got 2 female pet mice from the pet store, really young. Bonding went perfectly fine. And then I ended up with, I think, 17 more mice, something like that, because turns out the pet store did not separate the male and the female mice correctly, so they were pregnant when I got them. I really wish I could have gotten pet rats, because rats are generally more sociable towards humans, I believe, and are a little bit more intelligent. 1, how's your life going? And 2, please tell me how to cope with FSGS. My life is going pretty well, generally. I can't complain too much. I'm just happy that it's spring instead of winter. I hate winter so much. And for FSGS, my main thing would be saying, don't let it get you down too much. I know it can look really bleak, especially if you're Googling a lot about it and it's saying like, oh, there's no cure for it. You can only put it into remission. It's something that you can live with. You know, it's going to make your life a little bit more difficult. At some points, it's going to get very difficult, but I promise that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. In terms of, like, diet, I would say just stop drinking soda pretty much entirely. I drink just water and, like, a cup of sweet tea a day. If you want to try and reduce inflammation, I would recommend eating a lot of fruits, you know, stuff like blueberries, bananas. Not a lot of bananas, because you gotta watch your potassium. And for the tea, I would drink black tea with cinnamon sticks and honey added to it. I think those supposedly help with inflammation. I would absolutely not recommend taking Tylenol every day to reduce inflammation, because that will absolutely destroy your liver and maybe even your kidneys. But yeah, you got it, brother. Just hang in there. What is your favorite high explosive slinger? Is Ohio worth visiting? What is it like to be popular on YouTube? My favorite HE slinger is either the Lorraine 155 or the band cannon. Yeah, the traverse on the band cannon is absolutely abysmal, but having that 3-second reload rate is so funny. And for the second question, I would say, yeah, Ohio gets a really bad rap generally, but I think that's from people seeing the western side of it. But the east, and especially like the southeast, is really nice. That's where you start to get into the Appalachian foothills and areas like Hocking Hills. Just absolutely beautiful. And there are some really cool attractions in Ohio. Like there's the Air Force Museum down in Dayton. There's Cedar Point. Cleveland has a ton of museums. Columbus is very nice in general. I can't really speak to like Cincinnati or Toledo, but yeah, it's a pretty nice state overall. Not a huge fan of the politics, but it is what it is. And as far as popularity on YouTube, it is very, very strange. Because I'm not somebody that really craves attention, I don't think. I'm not really sure if I can diagnose that myself. I'm more so just like creating content. So it's been weird to blow up like this. I will say it's a little frustrating to see people just try to emulate my style without any real regard or input of their own to try and get popular. But more so because it feels like people trying to take my style and identity for their own personal gain, if that makes sense. Like, obviously I didn't invent adding sound effects to War Thunder videos, but I have noticed some people even copy my inflection or, like, the phrases that I use, which is really weird because I don't try to invent phrases, that's just how I talk. So it's like hearing some, I don't know, like, European guy talking in Midwestern dialect is just mind-boggling to me. Have you ever gone to college? I haven't gone to college, but I've been thinking about it recently. I know it's a really weird thing to do at 26, and I don't really want to do it to have like a backup plan, if that makes sense. I kind of just want to do it to do it. But if I'm doing it to do it, I don't want to be paying like $60,000 a year. So I'm not going to be going to some, you know, insane college or whatever. I'm probably just going to go to like a community college and get a degree in something that I find fascinating. Not necessarily something that I think will make me money. I'm at the point in my life where I just want to do things, if that makes sense. Like, that's not something I was really able to do. I've already answered the Spookston thing before, so do you have an editor? If not, have you ever thought about getting one? I actually have 2 editors currently, and they are what makes my upload schedule possible right now, because I used to not put nearly as much effort into the videos as I do now. They used to be pretty low effort overall, like I could edit them in a couple of hours, really. But yeah, very thankful for my editors, Killer and Kugel. I don't put the editor in the video description because I don't want people to, like, form camps, you know, if that makes sense. I don't want people to get a favorite editor and then get mad when their editor doesn't edit a particular video, because they both do amazing work and you should be appreciative of that. What's your favorite book? I don't know, if you asked me like a year ago, I'd probably say either the Redwall books or the Ender's Game series of books, but currently, I'm gonna sound like such a loser saying this because of the recent TikTok trends, but it might be Meditations right now. I read that while I was recovering from surgery, just because I had read a giant Roman history book and it recommended it to me, but I like it because it's very interesting to have a person from almost 2,000 years ago speak to you in a way. And I think that a lot of what Marcus has to say is very interesting. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of it, but I have been trying to incorporate some of what I've read into my lifestyle. I know that the philosophy majors are going to hate me for saying that, because I think 2 or 3 Q&As ago I said I think philosophy is dumb because you can just naturally intuit most of the things that philosophy has to say. And I still kind of stand by that, because a lot of what I had read in Meditations are things that I'd already thought of myself. I'm not trying to say I'm like a genius or anything, but you know. Also, much love from Australia. Yeah, I love you guys, because despite me uploading at obscene times for you, you guys make up a decent chunk of my viewer base. Like, you can actually see what cities watch your videos the most, and I think Sydney is like number 3 or 4. What do you think about the socioeconomic state of Wyoming, and which one of your videos is your favorite? Well, for Wyoming, I think it's looking a little mixed, you know? With the current administration, you could see an increase in mining jobs, but coal has been declining a lot recently, and I don't even think the admin trying to curb renewables is going to have much of an effect on that. Employment's not looking too good either, but there are a lot of new businesses propping up, so you could see that reversing soon, I don't know. And for my favorite video, it's probably the Abrams video that I mentioned earlier, the mini documentary thing that I made. How do I get a girlfriend? Well, you're probably asking the wrong guy. I play a bit of a different ball game, but if you ask me, just be yourself. You know, there's a lot of big influencers saying that you need to do X, Y, and Z. You know, you need to be wealthy, popular, masculine. But I think what people really appreciate is when someone is true to themselves. When someone is confident, sociable, kind, non-judgmental, stuff like that, you know? And I would say, don't go into social situations pining for a girlfriend or a boyfriend, because it can be very obvious and off-putting when someone is going into situations exclusively to look for affection. It's probably going to sound cliche, but just try to get out more, you know? Pick up a hobby, join a club. I mean, even dating apps can work. I believe both of my brothers got married through dating apps. It did take some trial and error, but they ended up with great people. And for the last question, are you somehow affected by the current situation in the US? Now, this is gonna get a little bit political, so if that's gonna make you upset, you should probably just skedaddle. But yeah, obviously, as a business owner, technically, and a US citizen, it's having a pretty significant effect on me. You see, with the introduction of the tariffs, the market really did not like that, especially when the admin is saying, tariffs one day, no tariffs the other day, exclusions, no exclusions, you know, just complete zoo. And the timing of it was the worst because it was the start of the second quarter, and with a new quarter, companies reassess how to spend their ad budget. So it was pretty much a double whammy effect on my ad revenue. It dipped pretty significantly. Like, if I had to guess, it's probably pretty close to 20% over this month. I'm still doing fine, don't get me wrong, but that is money that I could be having that I no longer have. And that is true for my retirement account as well. The lowest my accounts ever got was minus 18%. And yeah, you can say, well, they went back up. They went back up 12%. So I'm still down 6%. Should I be happy? Should I be thankful? Did you say thank you? I'm not going to be happy because manufacturing investments have gone down since the election ended. It should not be hard at all to guess what my political affiliations are, just even before that big rant. But I tried to go into this admin with a relatively open mind. Like, the first admin didn't affect me all that much, and I thought, you know, maybe it won't be that bad, but nah, it's pretty bad. Anyway, thank you once again for helping me reach 500,000 subscribers. I never thought I'd get to this point, but here we are. I'll see you all tomorrow for a very interesting video.